So today we are looking at Nico's bit, or not today, over the course of a few days we've been looking at Nico's bit and we've decided we're going to change it and try a different one. So this is the bit that I was using on him. This is a new shul, or newer shula, however they say it when you watch the videos. Hanging cheek. And he's been in this, I think, since I backed him. It was my instructor at the time that recommended putting him in this, because I initially had a Expert Bits comfy barrel. Can't remember what they're called, but you know, the ones that have like the bits at the side. And she said she didn't think I should use that, so we used this. But I think it's a bit too big because he's been opening his mouth a little bit, but I'm not sure if that's to do with taking up the contact. But also, like, when we're trying to turn, this comes like right through his mouth. And he has got more than like a finger on each side as well when I put it in. So we've moved to something very similar. So this is a Premier Equine hanging cheek as well, but this is a 5-inch. I think this one was a 5.5, maybe just over 5.5. And this one has got the sweet iron blue bit, and then I think this is a copper lozenge. To be honest, there's no good reason as to why I went with this one, other than I thought if I'm going to try a smaller bit on him, then I might as well try the same type. And in all honesty, this was like 20 quid. So I thought, well, I'll try this on him to see what he thinks. Like, it's the same type of bit. Like, I know it hasn't got the salox on it like the new shul has, jute being super helpful. But I thought, you know, if he goes well in this, then I can spend the money on getting him a smaller version in the new shul. Although I guess in a way that's kind of counterproductive, because if he goes well in this, then I should just keep him in what he goes well in, shouldn't I? I have used it a couple of times, so that is why it's a little bit grubby. I do clean my tack normally. Like, look how clean this one is. It's very clean. I'm going to put the schooling videos up now, so have a look and see what you think. Right, so this is Nico's first ride in the different bit. I did lunge him the evening before for 10 minutes, not very long, just to get him used to it. So he had it in his mouth prior to this, but this is the first ride on it. Mother is being cameraman or camera woman, so apologies if it's a bit fuzzy, blurry, or any fingers over the lens. But I got her to check it as well. As I said on a previous vlog, she will have you believe that she knows nothing, but my mum is quite knowledgeable when it comes to horses. And we both agreed that we think it's a better fit for him. So this is a 5-inch, whereas the one I had before was a 5.5. I think it might have just been slightly over. But anyway, all I'm doing is a short session. Wouldn't really call it schooling. Just wanted him to kind of experience the bit in the ridden environment, see if he opened his mouth at all. And I've just put the poles out because I am trying to do a couple of serpentines just to try and start getting that bend going. So on a side note, away from the bitting, he is super laid back at home. I do think this is partly my fault because our hacking is pretty rubbish. We don't do that much of it, so we have to trailer more or less every time we go for a hack. So I think this sort of like staleness is somewhat down to that, because I think he just finds stuff in the field a bit boring now. Like, even when I pop some jumps up, which will absolutely like set him alight if we're at a venue, in the field he's still a bit like, oh, do I have to? Can't be bothered. But I am working on that. So as I said, we're going out with the minors at the moment, and I'm trying to do that once a week. And I am going to start trailering somewhere else at least once a week as well. So we'll be doing at least 2 hacks a week. The problem is when you've got a trailer somewhere is it takes up a lot more time than just, you know, going out of your gate and going for a hack. Like, you've got to factor in trailering somewhere, finding somewhere to park, tacking up, going for your ride, going back, driving back, like that sort of stuff. So instead of it being like an hour, it ends up being like a 3 hour window that you need. But I think it's what it needs. So I think we'll be doing more hacking and less schooling. So I'm thinking like maybe we'll just do like one schooling session a week, like maximum. And I'll probably do it with poles or incorporate some little jumps. But when we do that schooling session, it's going to be like a really meaningful schooling session, as opposed to like when I do schooling, which I'm going to put in like inverted, like in apostrophes, at the moment, where I'm really only doing it to get him fit, if that makes sense, and keep him ticking over, because we don't have the hacking. So he's not been doing proper schooling. So we're going to do maximum once a week, proper quality schooling, with as much quality as we can achieve with him being laid back. And then the rest of it, I want to focus on like trying to get him out and about. So we will still do our grid work and our jumping and stuff, but obviously keeping that low, but I'm not classing that as schooling, even if we may incorporate some of it into our schooling, if that makes sense. Someone suggested that I put him on different feed, but he can be quite spicy at times, so I don't want to change his feed straight away. So I'm thinking that I would rather try and get him more forward by doing more hacking, getting him fitter, and trying that first. And if that doesn't work, then maybe we will consider putting something like, I don't know, linseed or I think top spec turbo or something like that. We'll try that. But I would rather try like non-foodie ways if I can, because he's not exactly skinny. Anyway, little feisty moment there. As I said, you know, he can be a little bit spicy at times, but he's quite spicy when we go out with the miners. I think it's just flat work where he seems to fall asleep a little bit. But I do watch videos that Karen Badrick does, because she's got a Welsh Cob, and she said something in one of her last vlogs about how she doesn't turn out before she goes to an event because she needs all the energy she can get. And I was like, oh, that's quite a good idea. Although I don't know if I can do that, because I do feel like I want my horse to still be a horse, and I don't want to like inhibit them just to go and do something I want to do, if that makes sense. But anyway, it's a work in progress. Back to bitting. So whilst I've been waffling on about way of going, we've done a little bit of riding in this bit. So I felt that he was a little bit more responsive in terms of like bending. I felt that I know he's not on the bit, but I felt he had a better head carriage. Like, I felt like he was kind of a bit freer and a bit lower in his neck, which is kind of where I want it to be. Like, I don't want him to be in a forced outline or anything. I don't want his head in the air either. I want him to like develop that on the bit through his back end. Like, I want him to develop it properly. So I felt his head carriage here was better than it was in the other bit. As I said, I felt he was a bit more responsive with our bending. The poles really help with that. It helps me know where to aim, because obviously we're just in a field, and it gives him something to aim at as well. And I, in my head, think if I've got poles, it makes it slightly more interesting for him. Mum said that she agreed. She thought he had like quite a nice natural head carriage in this bit, and she said she didn't think that he was opening his mouth or fussing as much in it. And having watched the videos, I think there's only one part where I thought he opened his mouth slightly. But it's hard, isn't it? Because you don't know whether or not it's them like getting used to a contact, so they're trying to evade the bit, or whether or not it's something to do with the bit. Because this has only really started happening since I have been having the lessons on him again, and they've all been like, take a shorter contact, because I am a bit of a washing lines rein kind of girl. So maybe it's that, but we don't really have or that I know of, we don't have any bit or bridle fitters down here. So it's not like I can ask someone to come and have a look and do whatever they do. Like, I don't even, obviously I know they do bit and bridle fitting, but I don't know how they do that. So yeah, it's a little bit of trial and error, but I mean, if you do know of a bit or bridle fitter in Kerno, then please comment below and let me know, because I'll get them out. So I'm pretty happy with this bit. I think it fits well. Like, at the end of it, there's no signs of any rubbing or anything. I did take him out with the minors in it as well, and he didn't have any rubs then. So it seems to be sitting in his mouth quite well, because the other one was, on occasion, again, since I've been picking up the contact, been rubbing on his mouth a little bit. And the difference with this one is when you were bending, like, it sat how it should, whereas the other bit seemed to be like sliding through his mouth. So at the moment, we're going with this bit. I do have another one that I can try as well, if not, but we're going to stick with this one for now because he seems to be quite happy in it. He hasn't been bucky for a while, so that's good. So yeah, hopefully, once we start going out a bit more with the hacking and we do some proper schooling, hopefully it will eventually start to come together a little bit. I could really do with him starting to come together a little bit as well, because I feel like, because I'm constantly nagging him in flat work, that my position just looks awful all the time. But I don't want to, he doesn't respond to a crop, so there's no point in me tapping him with a crop, and I don't want to resort to spurs yet, so we're not that far yet.